evening. Welcome, January 27th, Monday night. Birthday night. It's my birthday. Turned 21. I'm raging. I am live on Facebook, and right below us, we're live on Instagram. So we'll see how that all goes. So how's everybody doing? Let everybody get settled in. All right. So, hope everybody is doing well. It's been so far a great week. Sarah says, Mitch says you've aged horribly since last week. Oh my God. I'm tired. I've been up. Today's been crazy though. This week, I am at the Capitol all week, working on a few bills for the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And it has been so fun. I mean, how many of you can wake up and say, you know, you want to see your kids, you want to see your wife, you want to get your presents, and then like you're so excited to go down to the Georgia Capitol to lobby and to try and get people to do things you want them to do, right? I mean, it's so cool. It was such a great experience, and I'll be there all week. So it's been super fun. So Jamie, happy birthday. AJ, thank you very much. Sarah, thank you very much. He also says happy birthday. I appreciate it, Mitch. I appreciate it. So, had a couple topics tonight that for some of the stuff that we're working on this week, and I kind of wanted to get everybody's thoughts. So, pretty easy night. We're not talking about porn or child pornography. We're just going to keep it low key tonight. But these two things we're talking about today are far-reaching, and they are going to either be passed or not passed in Georgia. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it, but if you can, while you're here, just like and share the page as much as you can. But these two things, the governor of Georgia has pretty much put out a directive to everybody, and one of the things he's doing is it has the effect of really, really, really tearing apart the public defender system, certainly underfunding it, and it's also giving a lot more money to state prosecutors to prosecute bad guys, to put them in jail. Of course, we all want that, but the question is going to be, and let me get it up right here. So one of the bills is, should Georgia reduce the budget for public defenders while increasing the budget for prosecutors? Right? So your defense attorneys, people representing poor people, indigent people, we call them, people with no money, no ability to make money. The public defenders represent them. And the state prosecutors are the guys trying to put those people in jail or prosecute them. And what's happening is the governor, or not the governor, but the Georgia Assembly is saying, okay, we're going to take money from the public defenders. We're going to cut their budget by millions of dollars in exchange for giving the prosecutors more money. So we dive into this issue of whether or not you can be adequately represented, by a attorney, by a public defender who's great at what they do, but now their caseload goes from 200, right, to 1,000. And 1,000 cases. I mean, just think about that. You're representing 1,000 people. How do you even know what to do? And you're underfunded to hire people to help you. You're underfunded to hire investigators, paralegals. I mean, a lawyer's best friend in their business is their paralegal, right? The person that keeps them going time after time, day after day. Lawyers are relying on them, and in this situation, it's not happening. So there is a bill which we were at today, and it's going to be going throughout the week, where the state of Georgia just wants to undercut the Georgia public defense system. And if you go on the Georgia the Georgia legislative website and you sort of pull up the budget, I would encourage everybody to do that, because all these things that you're looking at are there's so much money put towards them, and you have no idea until you actually read it. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Should we give more money to prosecutors, to hire more prosecutors in order to, put more people in jail and fix the crime rate? Or do you think, look, we got to level it out. We can't give money to one side and not to the other. So let's look at the comments right here. Sarah, terrible idea. Lori, thumbs down. Christy says, are we trying to be serious on your birthday? I am serious every day, Christy. Practice makes perfect. We got to keep going. And we are being serious. I'm being serious. So let's rock and roll. Criminal justice system is already tainted by money. What do you mean by that, Sarah? You mean that the more you pay, the better outcome you get? Christy says, I was told there would be cupcakes. Something is broken here. We need more public defenders. And it's crazy. I mean, if you go down to Fulton County and, if you know these guys, these public defenders are working day in and day out, hour and hour and hour. And right now they're being told to take furloughs, right? Non-paid days. And the public defender is not a lot of money to make in that profession, in that career path. They're not doing that for the money. They're doing that to help people that need the most help at their lowest, when the state government is just overpowering on them, and public defenders are there to help them. And now they want to take money away from them. Sarah says, O.J. Simpson versus making a murderer guy. So, if you want to talk about the O.J. Simpson, we can dedicate a whole show to it. But I don't, first off, he had a lot of money, he had a lot of lawyers, and the more lawyers you get, the more thinking you get, and the more clever you can get, and possibly you can go through their evidence like he did. That was an easy case. The glove didn't fit, right? I think he did this when he put it on, kind of bent his fingers out. He said the glove don't fit. There are so few public defenders that may be conflicted out. Yeah, so part of the deal in this bill is, if they cut the public defender system, some counties like Dawson County, a lot of counties, but particularly Dawson, Hall, Towns, Union, White, the northern counties, they have something called conflict public defenders. So right now, or at least when I did it, back in the day, which I think is still the same budget, they're making $450 per case. Okay, per case. And that's times 100. Okay, they get 100 cases. But the case usually takes about, I would say, 20 hours to accomplish. Right? So at $450 total, 20 hours into it, times 100 with no staff. And what's happening is right now, the idea is, well, if we can take this number and reduce that down to 250, I mean, there's no incentive for anybody to work, and it's crazy. It's actually pretty disturbing, and I don't know how people are able to actually look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, yeah, this is good. I mean, this is a terrible idea, awful, right? You can't take money away from public defenders that are there to defend people that have no money. It's just stupid, but. This is what's happening downtown. Let's go to the comments. He wrote a book called If I Did It, Just Say. You're right. And guess what? He was bankrupt when he wrote that book. He had no money, and everyone bought the book. I think it became a New York Times bestseller, and now he's rich again. So, it sounds like he's pretty smart. Christy Connor Tate, prosecutors can do all kinds of shenanigans so people with no money lose. Investigators win cases. Prosecutors can do all kinds of Right. So if you have a case and if you don't have a good, solid investigator to go out and interview witnesses, right, it's very tough to win. And public defenders generally have these resources, but now with it being cut, kind of crazy. So Mom says, happy birthday. Thank you very much. Where is Melissa? I don't know. Sometimes she makes an appearance. I did tell her I wanted ice cream and brownies and everything, so maybe she's making that. But who knows? So the other bill that is on that we're sort of arguing for, and one that I actually enjoy, is the following. Let me do this. Should Georgia raise the age for juvenile crimes to under 18? Okay? So right now, does anybody know what the age is for your case to go to adult court? The age that if you commit a crime, the lowest age that you could be charged for an adult. Here-ish. And we're live on Instagram too. So the minimum age to be tried as an adult in Georgia is 17. So it's 17 years old. If you have a child who's 17 years old and they commit a DUI, they commit smoking marijuana, underage drinking sometimes, any criminal offense, they could be charged in the same way that you can in adult court. Same punishment. What's even scarier is if they commit a felony. So let's say, for example, and this is an extreme example, but I've seen it happen. They commit a traffic offense. They're driving, right? And they get so scared that they floor it, and they are gone. And a cop comes, and the cop is chasing them, and they reach speeds of 80 miles an hour. Okay? And that's what's called fleeing and eluding. And it's a felony grade level. Your son gets arrested, he's 17 years old. Guess what the options are? Right? These are your options. Option one, if you plead guilty or are found guilty. So let's think about it. 17 years old, he goes 80 miles an hour over the speed limit. And the cop gets behind him. He's a chase, and he's just freaked out because he didn't know what was happening, and he pulls over and gets arrested. Option one, as an adult, he will serve 1 year in prison. No less. 1 year in prison. That is the sentence. No probation. The minimum punishment is 1 year in prison. Alternatively, he can pay the court $5,000. Right, so 1 year in prison or $5,000. Now, obviously, if we have money, we would be able to, if that was an option, we'd be able to pay the court $5,000, and our child would only, he'd have a felony, but he wouldn't be going to prison. And everybody would do anything possible to do that. But what if you don't have $5,000, right? What if you're indigent and you have no money, and you're and the 17-year-old who's now treated as an adult, he's gonna have to go to prison. Right? In fleeing and eluding under the felony grade level, those are your options. And that's insane. So what Georgia is saying is right now, that's an adult. But if we raise the age to 17 and under, instead of where it's at 16 and under, with that crime out, it's super bad, and nobody's saying it's good, but it gets now treated as a juvenile offense. And maybe you can instill some kind of education and say, look, you can't, I know you screwed up, but we're going to give you a shot here to fix it. As opposed to labeling you convicted felon and possibly putting you in jail or in prison. You can go to the next thing, right? 17 years old and he gets a DUI. Right? Terrible. Right? So your underage son or daughter is driving around under the influence of alcohol. And when we talk about it, under the influence at that age is 0.02, not a 0.08 like most of the audiences, most of the adults, anybody over 21, right? So now this is basically a 0.02, he gets arrested. So now from 17 on, he will have a DUI on his record. There is no way in Georgia to get a DUI off your record. No way if you're convicted. Zero. That's it. It just stays on there. It doesn't age off. You don't have what's called first offender. Nothing. It's a DUI forever. So the kid's in high school. He screwed up big time. His parents have already punished him, and he gets a DUI. The new bill, if we raise the juvenile age to 17, we sort of are hitting that cusp of high schoolers doing stupid shit, right? And we bring them back down in juvenile court. And you can punish them all you want in juvenile court. But that is what's happening right now. Now, some lawmakers are saying, now think about this, forget the policy behind it. Forget how good it could be, right? How good not convicting people of a crime could be. But here's what they're thinking about. If we raise the age to 17, right? We now have to pay for more prosecutors. But wait a second. What did we just talk about before? They're already giving prosecutors more money. So what's happening is, oh my God, we actually have to do more work. We got to pay more people to do more work. I don't know if we want to do that. And I don't know if we should be raising the age. Has nothing to do with whether or not it's good for the kid, right? The guy that's screwed up. It now comes back to money, of which we're already giving you. Right, it may cost us more in judges. Or it may cost us more court security. Our caseload can go up. You know, I have a lot of, I guess, clients under 25, but the difference I have between 17 and 16-year-olds for clients is very, very minimal. You know, I don't understand how on earth. So Georgia's one of 4 states in the United States that still has 16-year-olds as the legal limit. I mean, as the legal max for juvenile. 4 states. Every other state has higher. So it's crazy. But in real time, when you have a 17-year-old come into court and you're representing him, and he's surrounded by felons, by misdemeanants, by all kinds of people, and you bring in front of the judge, I mean, there's a noticeable difference in maturity, in everything. And the kid's scared out of his mind, and now he's being treated like an adult. And yeah, he did bad stuff, or he committed to the DUI, whatever he did, but are you going to ruin his life, right? You're going to ruin his college education? No. I think we should, at 18 you could smoke, which I guess not in Georgia, they just changed that to 21 now. But in 18 you could vote, you could buy a firearm, you can join the army, you can move out of your house, you can go to college, you can get married, you can have kids, you can do anything you want. That's where it should start. Heck, you can't even enter legally. You can't enter into a contract. You got to have someone sign off on you if you're under 18. So Georgia's a little slow to the time, but what do y'all think? Do you think we should keep the age at 16, or should we raise it to 17 for juveniles? Let's go to the chat. 15. Happy birthday, Leah. Leah, thank you very much. Lori says, that's bullshit. Sounds like you think it's bullshit that people can be charged as adults when they're 17. I agree. Sarah, can there be exceptions for murder and other such crimes? Yes, there's always exceptions. There's what's called the 7 deadly sins. So we're talking murder, rape, robbery, arson, kidnapping, false imprisonment, aggravated or armed robbery. So all of those, regardless if you're a juvenile or you're an adult, they can all be tried as an adult. Sexual cases, I argue all the time whether or not a 17-year-old that gets arrested for child porn or something like that, where it's just they did it, or they may have done it, but we'll just say they did it for this discussion. Should you really label them a sex offender for the rest of their life at age 17? Right? I mean, obviously, you probably have a problem if you have child pornography. Right? You may have a mental problem, but child pornography is not even a child. Child pornography is anything under the age of 18. So if you're trading back and forth in high school, and you just happen to be the 17-year-old trading pictures with your girlfriend who happens to be 16 years old, right? You can be tried as an adult for exploitation of children. Crazy. Insane. And if you're tried as an adult and you lose, your 17-year-old ass is now a sex offender forever. No exceptions. So, you think about that overall. I mean, I don't think at that point, once you start dealing with that, it has nothing to do with money, which some is in people's idea that this costs more money, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, kids have no room to make mistakes. We change so much as we get older. They need room to recover. I agree with you. And I think juvenile court, it's part of rehabilitation. It's not so much punishment. It's not so much what the criminal courts are. Juvenile court is all about rehabilitation. Why did this person do what they did? And then how do we rehabilitate them to be law-abiding citizens? Because some of these juveniles, they may not have parents. They may not be lucky enough to have parents that come home every night or that are even there. Some of these people are on their own in other counties. We got to help them. And the last thing we want to do is convict them of a crime and just ruin their college education, their everything, their ability to get a job. Because then what are they going to do? Nothing. And then they start getting in trouble. So my mom says, if no one hurt, juvenile okay. Anyone hurt, depending on seriousness, jail. Yes, I agree. You're about the hurt, but the problem is that that's a retroactive way of thinking. We want to be proactive in crime. We want to explain to people what happens if you get arrested. If you get arrested for DUI, what punishment do you get? Right? If you flee from the cops, you should know what you're getting, whether or not someone got hurt or not. Justin Smatt, Remerton expunges DUIs. Good to see you, my brother. We won't comment on that. That'll be attorney-client privilege. But the question is, does Remerton expunge seatbelt tickets? I've seen kids have wrecked sober, ruin lives for accidents. It's the loss of a taxpayer. Bash side, it's not just about money. Raise it. Chrissy says raise it. Let me know in the chat. Hit raise it or say lower it. You tell me. Let's see which one we get the most of. If there are exceptions, definitely raise it. So it sounds like I got 2. Let's keep this in mind. 1, 2, 3. We should have consistency across the board in terms of how we define an adult. We should. And right now, we can say an adult is 17 for a crime, 18 for a contract, 18 to smoke, possibly smoke a cigarette, to join the military, to get a credit card, to sign up for a dating service like we talked last week. All those websites, right? You can be 17 and get arrested and be charged as an adult, but you can't even join those websites that we talked about last week because it's a crime for you to talk with somebody who's over the age of 18. Nuts. You can't get an Xbox account if you're 17. I don't even think that you can. Well, yeah, you can, but you can't get Xbox, Nintendo, nothing like that. No bank accounts. Crazy. Kayla, if this bill does get passed, will current cases that are unsettled in the adult system be transferred to juvenile court? Kayla, I was actually waiting for you to ask that. So that's unknown. It really depends on how they draft the bill. So there's something called in the law, if you want to Google it when we're done, ex post facto. 3 words, ex post facto, F-A-C-T-O. But the argument could be made for policy reasons that if it does get passed, first off, if it got passed, usually it won't take effect until July 1st, maybe next January 1st of 2021. But yes, I would suggest that if it did get passed, I would be doing everything possible to negotiate with the prosecutor about saying, look, what you're doing here in 6 months is going to be illegal, right? You can't charge this person. So, Kayla, that's a great question. And Richmond Law Firm would be making sure that anybody that it has that's 17 years old, I would be busting my ass to get that back to juvenile court, because that's where it belongs, and that's why the legislature, the Georgia Assembly, put it there and created this created this law. But it hasn't been created yet. Remember, we're one of 4 states that still has this draconian law. Lori says, raise it. Leah, woo! Leah, the little Republican over there, says raise it. All right. Joanne, does rehabilitation really work? Ever seen it work? I've seen it work. You have to have a good lawyer with a good team and a good therapist or whatever type of rehabilitation you're in for it to work. If you're just setting someone to rehabilitation, that you have to sort of help them. You have to be a father to your client and say, look, this is what you need to do. Even if he has a father, right? You have to be your own separate person. That your clients rely on you for that. And yes, it can work. And believe it or not, a lot of clients, especially that I have, once they screw up once, doesn't matter what the crime is. Could be weed, could be DUI, could be something bad. They're usually really upset. And you almost see it in them that, a lot of them cry, but that they're never going to do this again. It's a very low recidivism rate. So punishment sometimes happens before you even get to court, and court simply is useless. And a lot of the court cases, I got cases from 2018, right? 2017. You're going to punish that person now? It doesn't do anything. So anyway, Daniela said, hello, how are you? Daniela says, raise it. Christy, I have. And of course, I believe in raise it. So it's an interesting law. It's coming up. I will keep you updated this week. Hopefully it's going to, hopefully it's going to pass. There's going to be lots of things in the way. Of course, again, going back to this, how do you pay for it? And we're talking about giving prosecutors. When I say prosecutors, I mean the agency, the entity, giving that agency more money to hire more people. And if you're going to hire more people, then you have to be in favor of raising the age, because where are you putting the money, right? Right now, I think everything operates perfectly. I think there's other things to change in the judicial system, right? Walk into a courtroom anytime you want. And you tell me at a certain time in the morning, a certain time in the afternoon. Not a lot going on. And when things get rocking and rolling in court, yeah, but there's a lot of sitting around. And there's other ways of efficiency. Now, some courts are great. You're in and out in 5 minutes, but I don't know about hiring more prosecutors, firing public defenders, and not raising the juvenile age. To me, that seems all ridiculous. But so anyway, this is a bipartisan issue. We are talking about children making mistakes. There are definite degrees of severity. but I believe in rehabilitation if possible. Perfect. That sums it up perfectly. Leah, I'm in total agreement with you. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions for really, really bad crimes. But, you know, this is a no-brainer to me. And the fact that we have to argue about this and try and get this passed to me is you know, it's kind of sad that this is what it is. So that's it. I hope that everybody is having a great week. Again, I'm at the Capitol all week. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be sending pictures and stuff to my wife to post on Instagram. But if you have questions or want to see something during the day or have a question what something looks like down at the Capitol or what it is, just send me a message. Again, a lot of downtime there, but it's really super fun. If you haven't ever been there, go. We've got a great governor, great lieutenant governor, great senators, great representatives. So it's a good time. Where's the cake? I don't know. I don't know where Mel is, but she may have it upstairs waiting. So we will find out. So go eat some birthday. I will. So I hope everybody had a blast tonight. This was really fun for me. These are two great bills. I know there's some more to come this week, but that's it. I'm also live on Instagram at Georgia Crime. Looks like there's a few people on here actually. Somebody's asking me about, looks like Kobe Bryant. We'll get to that. Someone's also voting Raise It. I love it. Man, I'm getting votes from everywhere. I'm getting a lot of waves, so awesome. Well, this is great. You guys go have some fun. Take care. And we'll go out one more time with a birthday song. So this is like a little mix. It's pretty cool, huh?